Alright, I'm back with yet another Tron Legacy PinUP Player video. Only this is a new feature of PinUP Player that we are focusing on. It's called PuPCapture, or maybe PuP DMD image capture. Basically, the way this new feature works is PinUP Player will work through dmdext. It will monitor one of dmdext outputs. It has multiple outputs that can be used. It monitors one of the outputs of dmdext. It'll watch the DMD and it'll look for very specific key images, and when it sees those images, then it'll play a specific video. All that is set up in PuP B2S for this specific table, all working through B2S server. This table, this version, doesn't use any PinUP Player commands in the table script at all whatsoever. It's relying solely on B2S server and this new feature of PuPCapture working through dmdext. As a result, I'm able to get a whole bunch of more modes and videos and other things added into it. You know, after doing the Future Pinball version, now I had a whole bunch of more stuff to play with. So I used those in this version and created a few more as well. And basically, I'll just do a demo of some of those new videos and how it actually is working in real time. It's still a work in progress. You know, it's not out in the wild yet. You know, but you know, it shows the feature works and works really well. So the first thing right off the bat you can see is that trailer on the top right. That got triggered as soon as the table was run. It looked for a specific image on the DMD when it first loads, and then it just automatically starts playing the trailer. So we'll just go through a few things here. So when you start the game, there you go, right off the bat. It looked for that specific image for the start of the game, and then it plays good luck and the logo. And now we have skill shots, which we never had before. Again, all this being picked up only by the images on the DMD, nothing else. And oh, I guess we're gonna drain already. Alright, so we'll see if we can do some other stuff here. Alright, so some of the other things, for example, double scoring now we can do. Super pops we can do. Super spins we can do now. And for example with Gem, now these images are not reacting to the neon lights, and they come up instantly now. They're completely reacting to what they see on the DMD. And you can see the follow Gem popped up on the topper right away. And then now, we should be able to get, there we go, some jackpots showing up, and other videos. And normally that follow Gem video would have started up too, but I just had too many things going on at once. And there you go, you can see all the new jackpot images are specifically reacting to the DMD. And after this times out, you'll see it will automatically turn off the topper image. I couldn't do that before. See, the follow Gem total image shows up, and then it stops the topper image. Could not do any of that before. Let's see some other things. With Zeus, same idea. Now, when you see that flashing Zeus fast scoring, now that triggers Zeus mode, and both videos pop up automatically. The topper video will stay on until Zeus mode is completely over. I could not do that before. I had to basically only have it play for a few seconds and then turn off automatically. Now it's going to watch that DMD and see if there's a, you know, the end mode, and then there you go. Now you got new videos popping up with you know, extra jackpots in the videos showing up. And when it times out, you'll see here. Zeus fast scoring, there you go, it turns it off. So it works really well for starting modes and ending modes. You know, one of the new things we couldn't do before was we couldn't do Zen, or sorry, not Zen, Daft Punk, End of Line multi-ball mode. So we're going to try doing that. And the reason why I couldn't do that before was because Zeus, Portal, Sea of Simulation in End of Line multi-ball mode, and there's another new video, Extra Balls Lit. I could not do that before, but as a result, we can now do it based on the DMD images instead of just me having to write up some crazy code to react to the lights. And there we go. And then we're going to get Daft Punk multiple mode going as well while we're at it. There we go. Alright, so now you can see it's flashing over here. We got extra ball, and we're going to get end of line multiple mode. Now we have our extra ball. And now, end of line multi-ball. Again, something I could not do before. So, in this case, I just had a looping video go on the backglass instead. You know, I couldn't really find any good jackpot videos to use, so I decided to just have the backglass looping. And it's just a small clip. If you watch closely, it's playing forward and playing backward over and over again. You know, but it works. I mean, hey, you got Daft Punk jam in there, so there you go. You know, and so I'm just gonna let those let the balls go out there. Okay, and then now we're at the point where we've got the extra ball, and when the ball drains out,
shoot again.
And there we go. You got a shoot again video that we never had before. And there we go. Got a beautiful skill shot there. I love that. Love that sequence. Okay, so here's something we were never able to do before. Trying to find Flynn. We have to wait for this roving arrow, but without PuPCapture, I never would have been able to do this mode before. So, so basically, we have to wait for that sticking arrow. Here, actually, let me get this out of here. We have to wait for this arrow to make its way through one of the various spots. I just wait for it to come back over here because I find it's easier. So let's see if we'll get him after he gets over here. There we go, we found Flynn. Alright, so there you go, another mode we couldn't do before. And so now, this last mode that I was never able to do was Sea Simulation. The reason why is because Zeus, Sea Simulation, and end of line multi-ball mode use the same color for the neon ramps, whereas now with PuPCapture, well, you can do almost any mode you want. So we'll see if we can get into that mode and do the last bit here.
Oh man, I'm all over this. Oh man, I'm all over this.
And there we go, we got Sea Simulation now. Now, if you don't know what this mode is about, it's basically if you didn't clear all the other modes, then this is your second chance to kind of get them all done before trying to get to the portal. Unfortunately, I've never been able to do such a thing, so the only mode I don't have a PuPCapture for yet is Portal. I've got the video ready for it, I just need to be able to actually get to the end to be able to do it. So, yeah, so that's all the main stuff. I guess I'll let them drain out here. And look at those pretty lights. Oh, makes sense. And we got our match event and our game over. Again, I couldn't do those before, and now PuPCapture, so cool, man. So much more we can do. So there you go. You get the idea. And then now that we're back in attract mode, when it cycles through to the Tron Legacy image, then sure enough, the trailer will fire up. And there she goes. So just a demonstration of how this actually really works. And dmdext is used by basically everyone, except for maybe if you guys are Pin2DMD guys and you use Lucky's DLL instead of dmdext, then it might not work for you guys. That's a work in progress. You know, dmdext we can update, or sorry, David Nailbuster has been able to update it, but he can't do it with Lucky's DLL because it's not open source. So let's hope that changes in the future. But one way or another, most people should be able to use this without any real issues, one way or another. So that's my demo of all the main features there. Maybe I'll describe a little more about how this works behind the scenes and PuPB2S as well. Alright, so now you've seen that demo, I'm just going to go through sort of some basics of how PinUP Player works in relation to a PuPB2S and B2S server. So unlike the previous Tron VPX table demo I did at PuP, that was all using PinUP Player through the COM object, or in other words, using direct access to PinUP Player, and everything's controlled by script. Well, when it comes to especially VPX tables, they all like, because most of them are ROM based, they like to use B2S server to basically trigger things like your switches, solenoids, or lights, or anything else. And B2S server uses that for, say, an active backglass, or in the case of direct output framework, DOF, use that for turning on your solenoids in your cabinet, or turning on flasher lights, or addressable LEDs, or whatever else. And so the idea is that PinUP Player is also going to use that same B2S server function to trigger videos. So the way it works is when you run a table and you've had PinUP Player installed, it's going to look in here in your PinUP Player PuP videos folder, and it's going to look to see if the ROM name or game name, depending on if it's an original or not, exists. If it doesn't, it'll create a folder automatically. Now in this case, this is Tron, okay, TRN174H. So what I did is, when I want to create a PuP B2S with a table, I go in and I create folders for every action, and then I put videos in the folder. The idea is PinUP Player can just address any action with a folder. And that means that it can use a whole bunch of videos from that folder. It'll just treat it just like a playlist and go back to that folder and choose another one based on alphanumeric or random. So as an example here, where are we? Light cycle. So you can see I got a whole bunch in here, right? So every time I have PinUP Player say play something for light cycle, it'll pick up either the first one, second one, third one, or randomly. So first thing you do is you make all your folders, you put the videos in your folders, then you make a PuP B2S after that's all done. So you can go over here into your PinUP Player folder, and then choose a PinUP Player B2S config. You load this up, and this is where all the magic happens. You make your PuP B2S all in here. So you look for the folder from your game, and there it is. So I load that up. And I've already got this pre-made, but first thing you'll see is all your folders will be here that you've made will appear. So you can have them configured to be alphanumeric, your rest seconds, which is how long it'll wait before it'll play something else over top of that trigger, volume, and priority. This here is where you configure your screens. So that's if you want to have, in the case of this demo, you saw I had a backglass and a topper default background picture. So that's what I did here. This is I made a folder for each of those. You can see it up here. Background, backglass, and background logo. So you just choose them here. Like it's just a drop down. Or if you don't want to use them, like let's say you download someone else's PuP B2S and they have these in here, you can get rid of it. You just erase that and it won't even use it. And you can choose whether you want your topper to be on or off, not used at all, backglass, any screens that this particular PuP B2S uses. All that's done right here. So down here, this is where all the action happens. This is where you basically configure your events, your actions, based on a trigger through B2S server. So in this case, I have a whole bunch here. Now you're going to notice they're all E triggers. That's because I'm not doing these actions based on solenoids or lights or switches. I did all that in my own code on the table, but normally you would choose, say S1 for a solenoid, or W1 for a switch, or L1 for a light. You can do anything you want that the table has for triggers. Now in my case, I created a whole bunch of my own, and when it comes to original ones, they're always going to be E. So for an EM reel or for any kind of custom action you want to do, you can do your own in here, as long as it doesn't interfere with ones that are already being used for that table. So you create your description, your trigger, what screen it's going to be on, what playlist from up here it's going to choose from to play. And then here is where the control happens, where how long it'll be before it'll play another video, and the priority will basically choose which video gets to stay playing when another one gets triggered. So if you have one that's 5 that's running, then one that's 3, if it gets triggered while that number 5 is playing, well then number 5 just gets to keep playing and number 3 gets ignored. So this is where all the control happens. You can also have looping videos like I do for the topper one, some of the topper ones I've done. So it's all done in here. So basically you do everything in here once it's controlled, set up the way you want, you save it, and then when you play a table, boom, it'll automatically, PinUP Player will automatically, I'll just close this out, PinUP Player automatically, once the table is loaded, because of B2S server, PinUP Player gets initialized automatically for the table. It'll look for, in here, look for all these folders, and everything is all configured through these three files here. Your playlist, screens, triggers, everything is all done in here. And that's it. Now, as far as PuPCapture, that's a different thing altogether. The way that works is, when the tables run, PuPCapture will use dmdext to monitor DMD images, but the place it gets those images from is this folder here called PuPCapture. Now, I created these myself beforehand, and then you saw some were configured. I'll show you afterwards, but these are all the images here. So if you look, you can see this is the one that gets the trailer started, and this purple box is a match box. You use that in the PuPCapture program to create these images, and basically what this says is ignore everything else, but only look for this portion in that image. And that goes for like all sorts of these. So I've done that for super spinners, double scoring, like just all sorts of them, you know. And the idea is that you want them to be unique, so that way, for example, like see Zeus, this will start Zeus, but it ignores the scoring portion because you have to have it very specific and unique. If you include all this, then it'll never trigger because you have to have that exact score for it to happen. And then this one here, same thing, it'll end the mode. So these are all the images that I've captured myself ahead of time. And then that's it. Like basically, as long as you've got PinUP Player installed and configured with dmdext correctly, then if you had this PuB2S downloaded and installed, then it'll automatically start capturing those images, and you're good, or checking those images and then triggering the videos. Now I can show you. I'll try showing you real quick how I captured how I captured images basically for that. So this is PuPCapture. This is a program currently that's being used, and the idea is that you use that to monitor the DMD images and then do a capture of them. So I'm just going to load up Tron real quick. And so now I'm just moving this out of the way. Now this right here is a dmdext virtual DMD output. It's not monitoring this, okay? What we want is for it to monitor this little one here, which I've enabled to be visible. This one is basically dmdext AVI output repurposed for PinUP Player. So you go over here, you hit F5, and then you'll notice now PinUP Player is monitoring that DMD, which is exactly the same thing here, only it's in the original 128 by 32 resolution. So basically you choose Start Auto Capture, and then from this point on, it's remembering all these images. So if I go into the game and I start playing, okay? So now I'm just going to quit the table here, and I'm going to stop the PuPCapture, and then now you can see it's done. It's saved all that to memory, and then if I just browse caps, here they are. Like all these captures are still here, and then if you want to do something unique, then you can just highlight an area, hit Set Matchbox, and then you push S, like it says here, to save it, and then after you're done all that, all these would be, here I'll just save one of them, see if it does it. All these will be located in the PuPCapture folder, or Auto Capture. Now I already had a few here, but you can see now, this is the one I just made. So now you just rename it to whatever number you need. So if I needed another one, because I already had, say, 36, then I just rename it 37, drag it back into this folder here for the game, which would be the PuPCapture that I showed you before. And then all they have to be is numerical, and then you take that same number, remember what it is for your trigger, and then you'll use that. Instead of it being an E trigger, it's used as a special D trigger. So you'll see all of these ones that I have that are D, D5, D18, D36, those are all PuPCapture triggers. Those are all ones that are only being triggered with PuPCapture, whereas all the ones that are E are the ones that are triggered from the table itself. So that's basically it. Like, you know, that's the current state. Things may get updated or changed or whatever like that, but you know, it works, and it, you know, as you saw in my demo, it's a real thing that's actually feasible, and I think it'll work out really well. So keep an eye out, see if it gets a public release at some point. You know, there may be some updates still or whatever, but just keep an eye out, and hope this wasn't too boring or descriptive. But you know, I wanted to give people an idea of how this is working, so that, you know, they won't pester poor Nail Buster or me with millions of questions, and you know, they'll get at least an idea of how this is roughly working. So that's the end of my video, and I'll see you at the, well, whatever the next video comes. See you then. Bye.